away. It's been a while.
Blake, a couple weeks ago, a couple of the guys said that they didn't feel like the defense had played up to its standard in the first, I guess that would be what, 5, 6 games.
Yeah.
Before these last two games, kind of what was your assessment, and do you think that it's improved or in the last few weeks?
Yeah, I think probably that was self-inflicted, really, from myself. Just probably putting a little too much pressure on them, and as well as myself, trying to always have the perfect call instead of letting them play a little more freely. And so I take blame for that. But I also think we improved our practice habits, just doing the little things, better in practice, emphasizing takeaways, running to the ball, great knee bend when we're in tag tempo, really doing a good job thudding the ball carrier in our show team periods. And I think that's really probably what separated us or improved our play the last couple weeks is probably our practice habits more than anything.
Is there anything you point to, especially in the last few weeks as the season's going on, the improvement in causing takeaways? What do you think clicked there?
Again, emphasizing it more in practice, really putting a consequence on the defense if we didn't reach a certain number of takeaways throughout practice. Like a half gas or whatever at the end of practice. Nothing too major, but just constantly putting it on their mind. You know, I think. You get what you demand, and I think just demanding those things and emphasizing those things and do a better job during practice, getting those things accomplished probably results in what's happened the last couple Saturdays.
There's a lot of rotation just because of injuries. How have you evaluated the linebacker room as they've come through this first stretch?
I think they've come on the last couple weeks. Like you said, it's kind of a Hopper's obviously been steady. He's played really well. But when I say he's been steady, he's been the one constant in the lineup. Chad was banged up through fall camp. He's a little banged up now. So it's kind of been a mix and match. Accordingly, Tristan Newsom, he played his best game that he's played as a Missouri Tiger last week. So he's continuing to develop. And then I thought Chuck played really well. So it has kind of been a mix and match. But that's one thing that we talk about defensively. Kind of the last couple weeks, what we've done better, we've also played a lot more guys. And again, that falls on me. But I think we have an extremely unselfish group of young men in this room. But I also think when they're playing less, they're playing better. We continue to harp on it's the quality of tape. Don't worry about production, and it's hard when you're 18 to 22 and, you look at, oh, he's got more tackles than me or he's got more sacks. And this group has been extremely unselfish when it's come to that, and I think we've played. I would guess we've played more guys the last 2 weeks than we had played in any other ball game, and I think that's really helped guys perform at a higher level.
Like, is that just a case of more people being ready by week 8, or is that emphasizing things to come as well?
I think it's a combination of the two. I think some guys, it takes longer to develop. Tristan's a great example of that, where um, he probably wasn't ready. We didn't want to just throw him in the fire and hurt his confidence either. So I think he's really come on, and you see that in practice. And we talk about you get what you earn. And those guys that have gotten reps, we're not just putting them out there because, hey, you're on the sideline, let's go get reps. They've earned them. And, some guys, again, some guys it takes a little bit longer. Some guys we probably could have thrown out there earlier. And, you as a coach, sometimes it's just the flow of the game. But I think we've made an emphasis as a staff making sure we get a bunch of guys in, especially early in the game, and I think it's paid dividends.
How much does it help going into these last 4 weeks for maybe guys that were playing 50 snaps to play 35?
I think it's huge. I think it's huge from their body holding up, but also huge for the development of some of these guys that have played 20, 25. I think Philip Roche, I think, played 26 snaps, by far the most he's played all year, and it takes snaps off of other guys as well. But yeah, I think it's huge from a not a conditioning standpoint, but just a physicality standpoint, especially in this league. It's a physical league, so being able to take off those 20 reps, per game is going to be big, especially down this home stretch.
What guys have kind of impressed you from the standpoint of you didn't know maybe how fast they'll pick something up, whether that be a freshman or someone like D-Rob finding a new position?
I think D. Rob is extremely. He keeps getting better and better every week. Excuse me. He's extremely impressive. Just the way He takes hard coaching. You don't have to coach him that way, but he can take it. And um, his growth throughout these last 6 weeks has been. I said in the spring, I could see him getting better and better. He continues to get better and better. He is very physical at the point of attack, much more so, in my opinion, than he's ever been. But Philip Roche, Marvin Burks, those are two young guys that have played a lot of reps for us. Sidney Williams has really come on as of late by giving us more depth on the back end. Um, but you kind of have a clue. Marvin we had in the spring, Sidney we had in the spring, even though he was a little banged up, and then Philip, just the way he studies the game, he's constantly texting me questions, watching film. So you have an idea of who's going to be able to pick it up quickly. Either throughout the recruiting process or the first couple weeks that they're on campus.
Alongside D-Rob, how would you analyze the rest of the defensive position of your offense?
I've been really really I don't want to say surprised, but I'll use the word pleasantly surprised only because that was the one position we didn't have a returning starter at. And I think Coach Peoples has done a phenomenal job with them as a unit. When you look at D-Rob, you look at Johnny, the production he has had, really the production across that room. When you look at Joe Moore, Austin Firestone with a huge sack in the Vanderbilt game, Niles Gaddy. That's three guys that were not with us, until fall camp. So my hats off to him. My hats off to that group. It's a very unselfish group that has bonded really really quickly. So it's been fun to see.
As the defense has come along, just kind of how have you seen the leadership in that group kind of step up and contribute to practice?
We have so many leaders. It's hard to pinpoint necessarily one. I think that's kind of been the cool thing about this unit is they kind of all feed off of each other, and a lot of them being around each other for the second year. They kind of know what to expect from one another. But I think we've had strong leadership throughout. Again, I think probably it was more my fault than anything, just putting this undue pressure on the unit. I had to look at myself in the mirror. Am I being the best coach I could possibly be? And the answer was really no. There was times where I'd get so mad and I'd just start yelling and I wouldn't be coaching. And so again, you got to look at yourself in the mirror first. And I think they've done a great job from a leadership standpoint all season long.
Like when you say undue pressure, what do you mean?
Just saying, what our goals were out loud, and I don't regret necessarily saying that, but just when I did that, I think it put pressure on these guys that they had to be perfect, and we got away from our philosophy of just run and hit. The rest will take care of itself, and I think that's what we've gotten back to the last couple of weeks.
Flip side, last year a lot of times you did have to be perfect.
Yeah.
You guys are, but obviously you get a lot more help from the offense. Have you seen that in your guys kind of not relaxing, but make it a little easier to go out there and play?
Yeah, I think so. I think really as a team, I think that's been the cool thing about this entire team this year is there is never a sense of belief that we're ever going to lose a game. You know what I mean? Like the defense on the sideline, where maybe last year they'd kind of get frustrated a little bit. You don't hear any of that because they have the most confidence in the world in our offense getting it done. And I would say it's probably vice versa from the other side of the ball. So, yeah, I think them knowing that they don't have to go be perfect the last couple of weeks has probably helped them as well.
What did you players kind of letting them play? What does it look like? I mean, this
Probably not bringing so much into a game plan, you know. And it was kind of, and I told myself before the season, again with a veteran group, you got to be careful about putting too much on their plate. And there were some games that I probably did that, and so really just scaling back the game plan and not having as many calls, so they're not thinking as much.
Coach, how has having this offense be so explosive kind of helped the defense preparing in practice, knowing you're going against one of the better offenses in the country?
Yeah, I think when you look at especially at the receiver position with the receivers that we have, I think every day we're iron sharpens iron. So I think it gives our DBs a confidence that whoever they're going against, they're seeing the best in the country every single day, and especially up front as well. I think our offensive line has really come together and is a strong point of our team. So, and I would say that probably about our defensive line the last couple of years. So I think those two units have gotten better competing against each other every single day.
Coach, speaking of those DBs, just what have you seen from Chris Abrams during this kind of incredible stretch?
Just consistency. He's a guy that, early on in the season, the first couple games, I didn't think he played his best football, and kind of talked to him. Really, in my opinion, it wasn't that he was pressing too much. I think his technique kind of led him astray a little bit, and really since he's honed in on that, um, he's played extremely well. But he's extremely consistent, both physically on the field, but emotionally. He never gets too high, never gets too low. Really lets the game to come to him. Plays within the scheme, and when the opportunities present itself, he's made the play. So, um, you know, and it's kind of been kind of the same thing with D-Rob. It's don't try to press. Just do your job, do it at a high level, and plays will be made. And those two guys, I can definitely say that about. I think he's done nothing but help himself. Absolutely. I think when you look at his body of work, again, his consistency. There's been very few times that he's even been out of position this fall. So um, he's definitely helped himself. He hasn't done anything to hurt himself. And when you look at our plan in 17, got hurt from South Carolina, but he was going to be on the same side as 17. Like, we have the most confidence in the world of him just matching up against best receivers.
Like you talked a little bit about having returning players, the chemistry they have, but schematically, what does having players in their second year with your system, what does that allow you to do?
The biggest thing is it allows them to understand. It's impossible to show a guy every single offensive play versus every single defensive call you have. But now they understand concepts. It allows them to, um, you know, for example, if they're on a blitz and a tackle blocks down, where sometimes last year they would freeze, well, now they got the right way to go chase it back. So it just allows them to make more plays. Um, they're seeing the same plays versus the same calls over and over, and just allows them to play with more freedom, I would say. Yeah, I think it comes down to trust, and not that they didn't. Again, to me, it's not that they didn't trust each other. They were trying to probably make a play, and it comes back to we're at one gap. We call it a bully defense. Everybody controls their gap, and the offense decides who makes the tackle. Don't try to get greedy. Don't try to do someone else's job. So, especially in the Kentucky game early on, that to me is what showed up in the first two drives, and then. Once we had a little pep talk with them on the sideline and settled them down, now they're seeing the tangible results of just doing their job. Again, I think some guys, and again, it falls back on me, but some guys were pressing too much, wanting to have production or be the guy that made the play instead of everybody do your job. Offense will decide who makes the play. So we're kind of headed in the right direction from that standpoint.
You guys face off against a former player, Dominic Levet, against Georgia. How do you think that matchup is going to play out, and is there anything that you think you maybe have an edge on him since you've seen him so much?
I mean, I think our kids, know who he is. There's no guesswork on how fast is he. They know they went against him every day for a year. So, and he knows who our DBs are. So I would say it's a wash from that. But to me, it's just he's another good receiver we've got to face in this league. Which that's going to be the case every single week. There's going to be every team's going to have good receivers.
Not sure where you're at in prep for Georgia, but also probably won't talk to you before that game. I mean, what's the challenge? I know they're number three in the country. What's the challenge that they present to you?
Honestly, I haven't. We have not spent as a defensive staff a ton of time on them, so I really can't answer that as far as like even how they're different from last year. Um, Obviously, with 19 out, how will they look different this Saturday? So, still too early in the process. This week's really been about fixing us and maintaining um, an edge and gap integrity and doing the little things right. Um, so, it's hard for me to talk about them.
That message of stay consistent, do your job, particularly important when you're getting ready to face number one and not making too much out of the number.
Yeah, I honestly, I think when you look back at whether it be South Carolina, Kentucky, it, that's what we got to hang our hat on is just be consistent, do the little things right. It is about us. It has nothing to do with Georgia or Tennessee or Florida or Arkansas, or whoever we have left on the schedule. If we're consistent and we do our job, I think we can be a really, really good football team. So it doesn't matter what the ranking, what the number says in front of their name. It really is about us, in my opinion.
Coach, what do you feel like has opened up for you in terms of third down play calling? Just getting more first and second down, early down stops in terms of maybe being able to bring in the prowler package, some more pressure, some down.
Yeah, I think we've kind of honed in on what we want to be on in our prowler package. Again, early on was probably trying to do too much, trying to have the perfect call or dictate the perfect protection. But I think also it comes down to how we emphasize pressure. And even in the Kentucky game, I don't think we did a good job when we send guys on blitzes. I did not think we did a good job. Um, Blitzing like our hair was on fire. So that was a huge point of emphasis going into last week versus South Carolina, and you could see it. And then again, keeping bodies fresh. Sometimes when you blitz a lot and you're playing 70 snaps, it is hard to blitz with your hair on fire every week. So I think it's a combination of playing more guys and then emphasizing our the way we want to blitz when you get sent. Marcus, I was obviously with him at Miami. The thing that's been really cool to see is how much better he's got. Coach Bogue's done a great job with him from last year to this year. His confidence growing, his physicality, and then he's making plays on the ball. I think he has. I think it's 2 interceptions on the year, but when the ball comes his way, he's gotten better every single week. Trevez Johnson is a young man who's extremely smart. Was playing him really at like all 3 different safety positions for us early on and kind of settled in on just 1 or 2 for him. But brings a lot of consistency, a lot of experience in this league. But they've both been a joy to work with, both really good kids, both smart young men.
Your unit has done a better job of forcing the interceptions recently, but throughout the season, you guys have forced 8 fumbles and only recovered 1 of them. How can you change that to be able to jump on some of those balls?
Yeah, it's something we work hard on every single week. It reminds me a little bit my first year ever coaching in college with Will Muschamp. I think we led the country in forced fumbles, and we're one of the worst one of the worst in recovered fumbles. Sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles, the way the ball rolls. I know last week with the ball that flew straight up in the air, we got to get on loose change, and that's something that we emphasize. We obviously have to do a better job emphasizing that. But yeah, it's been unfortunate, because we emphasize the heck out of getting the ball out, and I do think we've done a good job of getting the ball out. But now we gotta find a way to get on them.
Coach, going back to the bye week a little bit, from your perspective, do you think the bye week came at just the right time for you guys to get guys healthy before Georgia and also just focus on the little things like you were talking about?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you were to ask me 2 weeks ago, I'd like to have it. You always want it around mid-season, but I do think it's come at a really good time. I think, what we've learned about ourselves in the last 2 weeks on defense specifically, and being able to carry that into the bye week, because bye weeks usually come down to, getting yourself rested and rejuvenated, but also focusing on the details. And I think our guys have really bought into that based off of what we've been able to do on the defensive side of the ball the last 2 weeks. So sometimes bye weeks can be a little hard to get your guys going, and it hasn't been hard at all. With the upcoming stretch of games that we have and the success we've had, obviously, with our record right now. So it's been a good week so far.
I know a lot of times in an off week you get a chance to maybe look at some younger guys that don't get as many reps. And have there been any of those guys that maybe they aren't out there yet, but you can see coming that you're excited about the future that jumped out to you?
Yeah, I mean, we do every Monday night. We do like a Monday night football, but yeah, there's definitely some guys that when you look on the outside at Nick DeLoach and Shamar McNeil, I think both those guys really, really have stood out in a positive way. Serene Tunkara, he has great twitch. I think he's going to be a great pass rusher for us one day. And Brayshawn Littlejohn, he's played a little bit for us this season, but he's really standing out in those Monday night footballs.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Coming next to the offensive coordinator, Kirby Moore. Questions when you're ready.
Kirby, what's been the biggest key or maybe a few keys to the Brady Cook we've been seeing this season as opposed to
think it's a collective effort. I think Brady's work ethic is second to none, and he does a really good job of putting in the work during the week. And within his preparation, right, that gives him confidence, and he's doing a really nice job out there executing the offense.
What does his work ethic look like? What does that entail?
Well, I think first, anytime you're walking the halls 30 minutes before meetings, you're going to see Brady Cook in there, right? And that is consistent. That's not just a show. That's who he is. And so he's always in there working. He's asking the right questions. He's asking me questions. Hey, why do we like this specific scheme? Where do you think my eyes should be? So with Brady, we've during the week we do a really good job of having open dialogue.
All that the same last year as this year?
Say that again.
Was all that the case last year as it is?
I'm not. I wasn't here last year, so.
But I'm just saying, as far as what you heard about Brady and his work ethic.
Yeah, no, I think that's been consistent.
Is it a point that you?
Yeah, I think he's just playing with a lot of confidence, and he's out there executing and playing fast.
Kirby, how much more have you been able to give him as the year gone on? Like week 1 versus week 8, or did he have a grasp of pretty much everything?
No, he did. He had a good grasp. I think offensively, we were trying to figure out who we are, right, in those first couple games there, and give credit to our guys. The work ethic during the week, it started in the off season, but really each week, and our offensive staff, they've done a really nice job and working together, and we're just trying to be a balanced attack who is consistent on a weekly basis.
When you got here that first week of practice, did you expect this unit to end up being one of the most explosive units in college football?
I wouldn't say that. I think there was obviously some potential, but there was a lot of work to be done. And again, credit goes to our guys. The work they put in within the off season, within the summer program, fall camp, Coach Baker, the defense we get to go against every day.
Kirby, can you talk a little bit about Luther with him playing in the slot? What does that do for him and just giving him favorable matchups, and then also just being able to use him creatively in motion?
Yeah, for Luther, moving to the slot was a natural transition. He does a really nice job in terms of short area routes, quickness, doing some tremendous things with the ball in his hand. And now he's stretching the field vertically in terms of the pass game. And, it gives him free access coming off the line.
Have you noticed as the season's gone on, like him drawing more and more attention, and does that free up Theo and Mookie, or have Theo and Mookie produced?
I think there's a little bit of both, probably. There's a little bit of attention there with Luther, and then Mookie and Theo have really came on and created some separation within, their matchups on the field, and Brady's done a nice job finding them. Say that one more time. Yeah. Coach Peeler does a tremendous job emphasizing playing without the ball, playing forward. You'll see plays within games where other guys are catching the ball or Cody breaks a run, and you'll see a receiver playing forward, which is really good to see on tape.
What has, in your opinion, caused Cody Schrader to go from a really good Division II running back to a pretty good SEC running back to leading the conference in rushing?
Yeah, Cody, the ultimate competitor, getting himself healthy throughout the week, taking mental reps when he's not able to take the physical reps during the week, and his execution is at a really high level right now, and he's playing fast, and he's a real leader within our offense.
Coach, what have you seen from Brady in processing some of the high-low, those Sailbaker type reads with some of those kind of things?
Yeah, he's done a nice job of emphasizing where his eyes need to be, finding safeties and corners, and top down on those, and we've done a nice job with some of the posts and flood concepts, and then if it's not there, checking the ball down.
Your first season calling plays in the SEC, just kind of what have been your major takeaways from what you've seen from opposing defenses and how you've had to kind of call games in response?
Yeah, I would say there is a lot of challenges with what those defenses bring. There's a lot of multiple fronts, multiple coverages, and so I think the big thing for us is just focusing on ourselves and what we do well and finding different ways to do that. Yeah. It happens in practice, right? Coach Drink says it quite a bit. Practice execution equals game day reality, and it showed up. One that vividly stands out to me is Kansas State, right? We're trying to throw kind of a bluff play. We check the ball down to Luther, and it's really a tight end. But you see Tyler Stevens playing forward and springing that touchdown on the sideline down the left side.
What adjustments are you starting to see opposing defenses, especially SEC defenses, make to what you guys do?
Yeah, we saw a little bit more zone and some cover two stuff early in the South Carolina game, and so we had to, work off of that. And then we did a nice job running the ball there in the first half and really ending the game there with Cody and the run game.
What has clicked with the offensive line? They were kind of work in progress coming out of camp, and obviously
Takes reps, communication. Coach Jones has done a really, really good job with those guys. We've cleaned up the penalties up front, right? Coach Drink bringing in the officials, and they're playing at a high level right now.
How have you seen Brett Northleaf kind of develop as the season's gone on, and then what's just your outlook for him in the future?
Yeah, he's got a very bright future. He is physical for a freshman at the point of attack, and then in terms of the pass game, has really strong hands, good hand-eye coordination, and he's doing a really good job.
Kirby, I think last week you guys basically played, I think, 13 guys on offense. Is that going
Yeah.
forward something you're comfortable with, or was that kind of a one game just the way that game was going?
I think it's more of how the game played out. I wouldn't say that was the starting point, but sometimes games take different turns, and so that's kind of how it was.
Coach, was there a play in practice in fall camp, or maybe a play in the game where you said, "Oh, I know this offense is going to be Kirby already"?
No, it's a constant work in progress, right? That's the big thing for us. It's every day, right? Want to know, making the corrections that we need to. Right now, for us, looking at from a self-scout standpoint, things we got to improve on, and that starts with third down execution and cleaning up the penalties, which we've done a better job of the last couple games.
Coach Beal in the red zone, just how much of a weapon is he when you can get him around the ball?
Yeah, the red zone, the field shortens, right? And you don't have as much of the back line there. And so catch radiuses and one-on-one opportunities, Theo's done a really good job with those throughout the season. That's correct, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a balance of that, right? And in terms of you get into those critical moments, right? You want to go to plays that your guys have confidence in and believe that was fourth down, right, versus K-State. It was a play we had worked versus our defense and scored in 2-point situations, so we went to that with that game on the line, kind of there in the second quarter.
As a coordinator during this bye week, what are your biggest priorities that you're focusing on this week?
Mentioned the self-scout piece. We've played 8 games, so you do have some tendencies you want to look at: run, pass, motions, formations. Continue to look at how we can take care of the ball better, penalties, and third down execution.
Can you give us an idea over the last few months how much of, I mean, when you come into a new situation, you've got to fit what you do with what you have here. I mean, what's that process? What was that process like, and how much do you think this is pretty similar to what you've done, or pretty similar to what they did last year?
It's a blend. Everything happened pretty fast there in the winter. I believe it was 27 days, 18 work days till we started spring ball. And so it was a balance of, hey, this has been done really well. These are things that I think can help us from Fresno and other coaches' experiences and places they've been. And then evaluating that after spring ball, fall camp, going against our defense. This is successful. If this is not successful, why? Can we correct it, or do we need to shelve it? And so there was a balance of that. And we're still constantly doing that throughout the season.
Coach, for you personally, I mean, how does it feel to know kind of your side of the ball is alleviating some stress from Coach Drake and Coach Baker as far as what they've got to do?
Yeah. Yeah, we're all trying to do our job, and I think with the offense, give credit to our guys and the offensive staff. That's the biggest thing I would say. We've continued to improve throughout the season, and it's a balance. We're trying to be a multiple offense that attacks.
I know you mentioned sometimes the game flow just kind of happens this way.
Yeah.
Play one guy, but with Cody kind of being banged up, would you like to see more?
We do need to add some depth and kind of get some more guys potentially involved at the running back position.
How does that happen?
I think you just get in the flow. Some drives are shorter than others. Sometimes I probably call tempo plays, which makes it hard to sub. And then there's specific personnel groups where certain guys have to be in. So it's a balance, and we got to, continue to communicate about that. Yeah. Yeah, Jamal's done a really good job of learning the offense, and he has very, very minimal mental mistakes. He's playing fast. He's a physical runner, and during camp, he did a really nice job. Very high. Yeah, you look at that left side. I don't know the exact number, but the number of starts that him and Xavier Delgado have had. Connor Tollison's playing at a really high level as well. Those guys, from a communication standpoint, there's a ton of different looks you see in this conference up front. From a pressure standpoint, they are doing a really good job.
Kirby, we talked a lot about Brady. Just what have you seen from the rest of the quarterback room throughout the season as they kind of learning from him in this offense and developing themselves?
I would say the quarterback room, they're all each other's biggest fan, which is pretty cool. So when one guy's in, the other guys are there. He comes to the side, hey, did you see this? Did you see that? And they do an awesome job collaborating with each other. And they'll be in there watching film together today before meetings started too.
Outside of the running back room, is there any other players that you want to get more involved in this offense throughout the season?
Yeah, all three of the young receivers, Marquise Johnson, Josh Manning, Daniel Blood, they've showed up throughout camp, throughout this season. The tight ends, right, Norfleet's gotten in there more and more. Jordan Harris is a physical guy who could show up as well.
How soon did you know you had something in Marquise and his ability to stretch the field?
Yeah, it's pretty revealing, right, when you get in one-on-one situations and you're going against very good corners and you call specific routes and he gets on top of guys in a hurry. Yeah, that's awesome. You can create a bunch of different roles and positions for those guys within formations and versatility, and I think it helps the offense stretch the field horizontally and vertically.
And we heard about Connor Thomas in the offseason and fall camp about how he's really taking steps forward. What is it about his game that you really like?
He has a subtle confidence about him that is very apparent when he's on the field. And it all starts with that center making the calls, communicating, and all five got to be on the same page. That started in spring ball, fall camp, and he's continued to get better and hone in on his craft every week.
Coach, from your perspective, do you think the bye week is coming at just the right time for you to get guys healthy and also go back and self-scout and work on the little things and have an extra week to prepare?
Yeah, I would agree with that statement 100%. We, first, self-scout standpoint, areas we need to improve, get some guys back, right? We just talked about Cody getting himself healthy and then get ready for these next 4 games.
As Coach Baker about this for the defense, same thing for the offense. You know who the next opponent is.
Yeah.
Is there an emphasis on ignore the trophies, ignore the number next to their name, focus on what you see?
The big thing for us is every day is its own, right? And so today, there's certain self-scout things we're going to be working on, and we will start to introduce Georgia, yes, but we got to clean those things up in a hurry for this next stretch of games.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.